On this episode of Broncos Weekend, with the Broncos set to play on Christmas Day against the Los Angeles Rams, we'll discuss what you might expect as Russell Wilson gets the start on Sunday, before outlining how Denver's newest Pro Bowl cornerback could impact the Rams' offensive game plan. All that and so much more is coming up right now on Broncos Weekend. Happy holidays, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for Broncos Weekend. I'm Alexis Perry alongside Steve Atwater and Orlando Franklin. Before we look ahead to this Sunday's matchup, first, let's take a moment to look back. In 2012, the Denver Broncos selected running back Ronnie Hillman in the third round of the NFL Draft. Ronnie spent the next 4 seasons here in Denver and led the team in rushing during Denver's Super Bowl 50 campaign. But he was so much more than just a great player whom we lost on Wednesday. Orlando, as a teammate and a friend of Ronnie's, what kind of impact did he have on you in his short time here?
You know, just an immediate impact. You learned really fast that 5'10", 195-pound human being was special. I remember when we got Ronnie, and I looked at him and I said, how is he going to help this football team? He doesn't look like an NFL running back. But so many times he proved over the next 4 years that he belonged to the National Football League, getting a yard or two more. Even when a defender looked like they had wrapped him up or he was dead to rights, he would find a way to get that 1 or 2 more yards. And, you know, each and every day, what I remember about him is how he approached the game. And the way he came to work, the way he would go in the weight room, or whether we were running wind sprints or whether we were just in the locker room playing cards competitively, he wasn't the ultimate competitor. You know, we lost a great one. And I will forever just remember Ronnie Hillman and what he brought to the Denver Broncos. I look at a person that was always overlooked. Walked into a running back room, absolutely crowded. Willis McGahee's the guy. Then it's, hey, we're going to go draft Monte Ball in the 2nd round. Then we're going to bring in this other person, and now it's C.J. Anderson's turn. In the Super Bowl year, when the Broncos won in 2015, Super Bowl 50, Ronnie Hillman led this football team in rushing yards. And that's a testament to the person that he was. He didn't allow you to tell him he was too small or he was not able to do something. He worked his butt off to make sure he earned the right to be out there each and every Sunday. And yeah, like I said, we lost a great one.
Well, our thoughts and prayers are with Ronnie's family and friends during this incredibly difficult time. May he rest in peace. But now, as we do our best to dive into the other news surrounding the Broncos this week, I think it's safe to say that we could not be happier for Broncos cornerback Pat Surtain II, who was named a 2023 Pro Bowl starter in just his 2nd year in the league. Steve, as an 8-time Pro Bowler yourself, why is this recognition so special?
I think it's super special because the players, the guys you go to work with every day and go against every week, they vote on it. The coaches vote on it. Other coaches vote on it. And also the fans, they have a say-so in who goes. So it's not some type of political thing where you can ease your way in by being friends with someone. You know? So you really earn this. It means the world. When guys get together at the Pro Bowl, those bonds are formed, friendships that can last a lifetime. So I'm super happy for him. I think this is the first of many to come. His dad was a 3-time Pro Bowler, and I think he hit his first Pro Bowl in his 4th year. Pastor Tan beat him by getting it here in his 2nd year. So I'm super happy for him.
Big O, what does this recognition say, not only about Pat as a player, but also GM George Paton's decision to actually draft him in the 1st round in 2021?
Well, it was an absolute home run pick, right? For PS2 to get in the Pro Bowl in only year 2 on a football team that's not playing well. Pro Bowl, if you're not winning football games, you don't tend to get the votes. Yeah. So now PS2 has cemented his elite status in the National Football League. This is something that cannot be taken away from him. He's named to his first Pro Bowl as a starter. It's not like he was an alternate or a backup or anything like that. So George Paton hit it absolutely out the park with taking him 9th overall, and just looking at how he has went out there week in, week out, while not winning a lot of football games, offense not scoring a lot of points, but yet did his job. It would have been easy for him to say, man, you know what? I want to take the game off. I want to take this play off.
Right.
At the cornerback position, it's such a hard position to play because you are targeted. And if somebody does get a big touchdown, how do you respond the next play? And PS2 has responded his first 2 years in the National Football League for sure.
Well, another member of the Broncos defensive backs room was honored as well. Safety Justin Simmons, he was named a first alternate, even after missing 5 games this season. And like you said, you know, it's not just the fans that vote on this, it's players and coaches. So what does this recognition say about his reputation, not just here in Denver, but around the league?
I think people realize that he's a playmaker, number one. But also, he's so reliable. He's rarely hurt. Unfortunately, he missed several games this year because of an injury. But man, he's been super available over the years. Again, reliable, and the type of person he is. He's equally as good a player as he is a person.
It's absolutely incredible, right? You just talked about it, Steve. You come in, it's a new system, right? You get ready to roll, and then all of a sudden, week 1, you think that you're good, and he finished that game against Seattle, and then he gets put on IR, misses 4 games, and it's how do you insert yourself back into the lineup where you could be effective? Well, the whole league noticed that for him to become this alternate to the Pro Bowl. It wasn't because of just the fans' vote. PS2 and Justin Simmons weren't even in the top 10 in fan voting. So you know that the whole National Football League is taking notice to these guys because a third goes to the fan vote, a third goes to the players, and a third goes to the coaching.
Yep.
You know that he knocked it out of the park when it comes to the coaches and the players in this league. And people continue to look at Justin Simmons as one of the faces of the Denver Broncos.
On the other side of the break, Steve and Big O will break down a couple of clutch plays from Denver's Week 15 win over Arizona. We are hoping to see again this Sunday in LA. Don't go anywhere.
DT was our number 1 guy. His play spoke for itself.
Thomas is there and makes the catch.
He could do just about anything on the football field.
Demaryius Thomas out over the 45. Here we go.
We set out for him to be the most dominant receiver here.
Pass caught, one-handed, the catch of the night.
He was like electrifying.
Play at a time, that's all we need to do.
He was one of a kind.
DT's got it, touchdown Denver.
He was a defensive coordinator's worst nightmare, but for me, boy, he was just a gift.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend, everyone. Alexis Perry here alongside Steve Atwater and Big O as we get into the X's and O's from Denver's much-needed win last week against the Cardinals. The Broncos played great complementary football, especially in the second half, as this offense really started to get into a rhythm. Let's pick things up halfway through the third quarter. On first down, Latavius Murray, he ripped off a huge 35-yard run, which sparked the offense for the remainder of this game. So, Steve, how did this play become the longest play of the day for the Broncos?
Well, this play shows how well-executed offensive play, especially in the run game, really can set everything else up for the remainder of the game. It makes defenses have to respect the run, and that's what I'm hoping that we'll be able to do here against the Rams on Christmas Day. So starting off, we got the ball snapped to Brett Rippon, and he, as you notice, he didn't turn around backwards and toss it out. He got out there super quickly to Latavius Murray, just pitched it out to him. Latavius Murray was able to get that edge super quickly, and as you can see by the formations on both sides, the wide receivers were in close to the tackles. We used to call that nasty back in the day, or nasty, in tight. So we would know what to expect. Most of the times the guys are either running crossing routes or they're running, trying to get a little bit of leverage on the outside linebackers or edge guys to kind of seal that off. And that's exactly what happened there. Great block on the outside. And then Latavius Murray went to the outside initially, and as you'll see, Billy Turner got outside as well. And Latavius Murray was able to cut it back up inside. The safety took a poor angle. He didn't realize that his cornerback was on the outside of him, and he could have stayed inside to make that play a little bit more difficult for Latavius Murray. But hey, Latavius Murray saw that, took full advantage of it, made a nice strong run, got north and south, and finished well too.
You're really good at pointing out when a safety makes a mistake.
Well, I've played that position for a few years.
Just a couple years.
Yeah. You know, once you overrun it, it gets really difficult.
Absolutely. I want to talk about two guys on this play because, yes, we all know that Latavius Murray was able to pick up 35 yards. Yes, we know that Brett Rippon was pitching the ball to him. But I want to talk about Brandon Johnson on the front side of this play who goes in and absolutely takes care of business against a linebacker. You don't typically see wide receivers have the heart or the will in order to go do that. So congratulations, young fella. What you're doing is a huge compliment and made this play go. And I also want to talk about Greg Dulcich on the backside of this play because Greg Dulcich gets just enough in that nasty split that Steve talked about, but he gets just enough of the backside linebacker on this play where if he just says, hey, you know what, I'm out leveraged, I don't want to run that hard, I don't want to get a piece of them, this backside linebacker, that's only a 15-yard gain. Because Greg Dulcich was able to get just enough of this backside inside linebacker, now Latavius Murray is able to run through that arm tackle and get another 20 yards. So great job of playing team football and understanding that you're only as strong as your weakest link, and all 11 guys need to be right in order to have success.
All right, well, on the defensive side of the ball, I feel like I say this every single week. It was another stellar showing from this unit. After picking off Patrick Mahomes 3 times the week prior, the Broncos had another 3 interceptions on Sunday, including 2 from Justin Simmons on this 3rd and 8 for the Arizona Cardinals. So, Steve, walk us through this play.
Well, to be honest, I pulled this play out because I wanted to show Justin Simmons some love. They just got to show that sometimes, many guys are in the right place at the right time. They don't make the play. 9 times out of 10, when Justin's in the right place, he makes the right play. And he did a great job of covering man-to-man in this instance. It looked like the quarterback and the receiver, AJ Green, they were just on 2 different pages. It looked like we were obviously playing man-to-man coverage, and normally in man-to-man coverage, the receiver tries to run away from him, and the quarterback will be on the same page with him. But AJ Green shut it down like it was zone coverage. And the quarterback, Trace McSorley, he threw it anyway like it was man. And Justin Simmons, hey, he did the right thing. He was right in position to make the play, almost took it to the house. For that lineman who played to the whistle and was able to get there and make the tackle, he would have scored. But, man, beautiful play by Justin. And the thing, again, that I would like to harp on here is that he actually made the play. I've been in that situation many times before, and sometimes I let that ball get away from me.
Sometimes.
It's a huge letdown, but Justin always comes through, and big shout out to him.
Yeah.
I like it, Steve. Steve started off by saying he wanted to give Justin Simmons some love. I want to give this whole football team some love as well, because this play happens because the Broncos are in the 4th quarter with an 8-point lead. So not only does Arizona have to score a touchdown, but they have to go for 2 in order just to tie this thing up. So when you're in that position, great things do happen. Steve also talks about the man-to-man and zone and different things like that. That's the credit of having that veteran safety, right? And when Justin Simmons missed the 5 games earlier this season, that's what we missed, is a guy that could play the game within the game. You know how it is, Steve. You played that position forever. And when you're out there having fun, when you're out there able to create a lead, when the defensive line are pass rushing, they are getting back to the quarterback, now you could start, tweaking little things about your game where, hey, it may look like zone, it may look like man, but we're actually playing the complete opposite right here. Yeah. So that's a heads-up job by a safety that's played a ton of football on Justin Simmons in order to give this young quarterback a different look where he's thinking something different, where now his wide receiver's also thinking something completely opposite as well.
Yeah, big hat tip to the entire team for this one. Well, still to come here on Broncos Weekend, some of the must-watch matchups when you tune in to Broncos and Rams on Christmas Day. Don't go anywhere.
I loved watching him play because he was fearless and he just was relentless and he made it look easy.
Demaryius Thomas out over the 45. Here we go.
He could do just about anything on the football field.
DT breaks the tackle inside the 10. Touchdown, Denver.
He was one of a kind.
Everybody in his life was special.
He was a great leader.
The best teammate.
DT's got it.
His smile lit up a room.
He loved kids and he loved to give back.
Boy, he was just a gift.
You're watching Broncos Weekend, everyone. This Sunday marks the Broncos' 4th ever Christmas Day game, and it seems like Rams inside linebacker Bobby Wagner's Christmas wish will finally come true as he will have the opportunity to chase down his former teammate, Russell Wilson. When thinking back to their days together in Seattle, Wagner said earlier this week that they talk a lot of trash, but he could never touch Russell Wilson, and we all know that that will not be the case this week. So guys, can you guys take us into that mental battle that we see pre-snap and post-snap between the quarterback of the offense and the quarterback of the defense, and really how the familiarity between these two guys might impact this game?
Yeah, so pre-snap battle, right? Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson, they know each other. They know how each other talk. They know how each other communicates. As many practices as these guys have had against each other, I'm sure Russell Wilson was staring at Bobby Wagner in practice out there in Seattle, trying to get a beat on the defense, to know where to go with the football, to try to expose that defense. A little bit of friendly competition, but exactly what you said, AP. Now this week it counts. Bobby Wagner could actually hit Russell Wilson. So I look for Russell Wilson to kind of make some dummy calls. You know, there was a report early in the season that we know was false, right? Where it came out, Russell Wilson's using Seattle signals and Seattle calls. Well, use it this week, because Bobby Wagner's out there on the field. So if you have any code words for screens or anything, get up to the line of scrimmage and let this offensive line know that, hey, if I say yellow such and such, that's a dummy call, and I am only messing with 45 out there to try to get him to try to, you know, maybe make an adjustment and maybe help out this football team a little bit.
Yeah, man, it's interesting because these guys got drafted the same year together in 2012. They played 10 years together in Seattle. They won a Super Bowl together. Russell Wilson's been to 9 Pro Bowls. Bobby Wagner's been to 8 Pro Bowls. So they traveled to Hawaii together. They know each other like the back of each other's hand. And I think that once the game starts, although I think that Bobby Wagner will want to see Russell Wilson do well. Obviously, he doesn't want us to win. And I think Russell Wilson will feel the same way about Bobby Wagner. He wants Bobby Wagner to do well, but obviously we want to get the win over the Rams. So it's going to be an interesting situation, though, because, like I said, they're both the quarterbacks of their respective sides of the ball, and they're both going to have a big impact on this game. You know, Bobby Wagner leading the NFL in tackles. He's also the highest-rated linebacker according to Pro Football Focus, and we know Russell Wilson, according to most people's account, has been struggling somewhat this year. So it'll be interesting to see if we can get out on top and Russell Wilson come out of this thing with the win and be able to celebrate after the game.
Well,
Do they talk to each other before the game or not?
No.
I think so.
I think so. I hope not.
I think so.
No,
I think so.
No, man.
Not a big conversation, but like, hey, all right, bam.
Okay, a little respect.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm acting like I don't even see him if I walking right past him.
Well, me and you played together. Now that came up, man, gave you a big hug. What up,
You guys
Leo?
can swap jerseys at the end, like I'm sure they will. Okay. Well, the Rams, they're on their 4th starting quarterback this year, the newest being Baker Mayfield. Mayfield's first 2 games with the Rams were wildly different, and after a tough game against Green Bay, things will not get much easier for him this week, going up against the Broncos pass defense that has 6 picks in the last 2 games. So guys, who are some of Baker's weapons, and how does this Broncos pass defense match up with these guys this week?
I think number 1 weapon, Cam Akers, the running back. He's a dual threat. He can run the ball effectively. He also can catch passes out of the backfield. Also, Tutu Atwell. He's a smaller receiver, super fast. Baker Mayfield, in his first game, he targeted him several times, played really well. Be anxious to see if they try to target him some this week.
Yeah, so I look to this Rams offense, and everything has went wrong for this football team this year, right? They just won the Super Bowl earlier this season, so look for them to try to run the ball against this defense. Broncos have 6 interceptions in the last 2 weeks. Baker Mayfield has had a cup of coffee and a bottle of water, right, out there in LA, right? So I don't think that they're going to try to expand the playbook for him. I think they're really going to dial this thing back, especially when he got there, and 48 hours later, they beat the Las Vegas Raiders, right? So I think now, after last week looking so different, that Sean McVay is going to say, hey, you know what? Let's go in this thing with a simpler game plan. So
I agree.
Coach Evero, it's all about stopping the run, taking Cam Akers away from Baker Mayfield, whether he is handing him the ball or he's trying to check down to him. Make Baker Mayfield go to his 4th and 5th option, and you win this game easily on Christmas Day.
Steve, you said last week, loud and proud right here on this desk, that the Broncos absolutely needed to run the ball if they wanted to beat the Arizona Cardinals. Well, they did. Latavius Murray, the Broncos' first 100-plus yard rusher of the season with 130 yards and a touchdown on 24 carries. But things might be a little bit more challenging this week given the fact that they are going up against the 4th-ranked run defense in the league. You guys, we saw Russell Wilson have success going up tempo, passing the ball, obviously, against the Chiefs. But then the Broncos, they were actually able to get a win by running the football. So what do you think is the best approach this week against LA now that it is Russell Wilson, either under center or in shotgun, obviously?
Well, I always feel like going into a game, if you don't establish a run game, the chances are you aren't going to win that game. Yep. So I always feel like you have to establish the run. Even if you're not super successful at it, you got to keep going back to the well time and time again. And that just, again, sets everything up. And the way that Latavius Murray has been playing, he's shown he's like the fountain of youth now. And he's running hard, again, get north and south. Got a good grasp of the playbook, got his first game ball, and you got to take advantage of that. You know, when a guy's got a hot hand, you got to feed him. Mm-hmm. And I think that's got to be our mindset. Even though the Rams, they're very good at stopping the run, I think we got to do it. We got to do it, and that's going to set up the play action pass, and we'll be able to take advantage of the weaknesses.
So I truly believe here in Broncos country, Christmas came early last week for us. Watching that game, watching the formula, how we beat the Arizona Cardinals. 32 runs. Oh, Latavius Murray is also 32 years old and looks like he's running like a 24-year-old
right.
in the National Football League right now. But the fact that Russell Wilson was held out of that game, had the earpiece, listened to Clint Kubiak talk to Brett Rippon, watch Brett Rippon go out there, execute that play, and not change the play. I really think that was our early Christmas present here in Broncos country, because Russell Wilson was able to watch 11 guys go out there and fight for that play call that the coaches now signaled in to Brett Rippon. And what happened? They had success. They had 2 guys rush for over 4.0 yards a carry, which is the standard in the National Football League. They were able to win a football game and make sure that they were able to take care of business. Looks so much different from the first half to the second half, and it really helped this team out. So I look at this game plan last game with 60 total plays, 32 of them being runs, 28 of them being passes. This is what we have to move forward with here in Broncos country in order to have success, until we continue to create continuity and continue to create chemistry with all 11 guys out there offensively.
And I love that they were able to do it last week with 2 guys who weren't even on the roster at the beginning of the season. This is wild. Yeah. But guys, any other key matchups that you guys are looking forward to really quickly?
Oh, we already know. Jerry Jeudy and Jalen Ramsey, that's going to be one for the ages, boy. I'm looking forward to that matchup. I don't know if they've played against each other, but Jalen Ramsey is extremely competitive, talented cornerback, and Jerry Jeudy, a young, hungry wide receiver. Mm-hmm. I know Jerry Jeudy wants to have a big game against Jalen Ramsey to show the world that he's the real deal.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, I'm looking forward to this matchup because Jerry Jeudy's in that X-wide receiver position. I know that Cortland, the possibility of him coming back this week, but I'm hoping that Clint Kubiak and Justin Outen and Nathaniel Hackett say, Cortland, because you're coming back off of a hamstring injury, we do not want that hamstring to act up again. We do not want to put you out there against one of the best cornerbacks in the league. We might want to play you a little bit more at the slot position, because I couldn't even imagine having Greg Dulcich and Cortland Sutton attacking defenses in the middle of the field. I think that would be a dynamic duo, and business would be booming, and we would be scoring touchdowns each and every week.
I think the flip side of that too, Van Jefferson and maybe even Damari Mathis on him this week would be an interesting one as well.
Yeah.
Guys, before we go, what is the number one thing that the Broncos could do this week that would give Broncos country a Christmas Day present? Other than a win, we all know a win would be huge, but within the game, what's the greatest gift that this team could give these fans?
I want to see Russell Wilson go for the trifecta. What that looks like for me is I want to see him use his legs and protect himself, right? Because we know what happened against the KC game. But I thought he was surgical with how he ran the football and how he chose his times to pull the ball down and use his legs. So that's one for me. Also, multiple touchdowns, right? Let's keep this thing going. He was able to find Jerry Jeudy against the Chiefs. He was able to say, hey, this is my favorite target, but I also want to see him spread the ball around. So for me, if I could see Russell Wilson go out there, throw 3 touchdowns, double up maybe to Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton, but also find somebody else with a touchdown and use his legs, man, I think Bronco Country would be really, really ecstatic on Christmas Day.
Okay. Well, for me, obviously, we got to have the win. But in addition to the win, I hope the Broncos come back with the big old bag with the big bow on it, and you open it up and it says no injuries.
Yes.
No injury game. Injuries have really, I think, derailed our season. It's had a huge impact on it. And if we can get out of this game with no injuries and a win, Broncos Country will be super happy.
All right, well, that'll do it for this holiday edition of Broncos Weekend, everyone. Be sure to tune in for the Broncos primetime Christmas Day game on CBS or on Nickelodeon with the kiddos. For Steve Atwater and Orlando Franklin, I'm Alexis Perry. Happy holidays to you and yours. We will see you all next week.